The Night of the Living Duck sounded like it had a really interesting narrative, but to be honest, I didn't love the execution. This was released in 1988, directed by Greg Ford and Terry Lennon, and Mel Blanc voices Daffy Duck. This was the year before Mel Blanc died, and Daffy Duck's singing voice is provided by Mel Tormé. And Daffy Duck is reading a scary comic book before he goes to bed, and when he goes to bed, he dreams that he is singing in a nightclub and all of the patrons are monsters. And we have some classic monster characters, including, Frankenstein's creature, Dracula, the mummy, kind of various iconic ones, and some that I think are maybe less recognisable. Certainly that aspect of it was quite fun, wondering what creature would appear next and what kind of comedic slant they'd have on them. Certainly the mummy is not 100% what one might expect. And that bit I thought was interesting enough. But once we kind of got used to the patrons and we saw who was there, it was focusing on Daffy Duck singing. And there's nothing wrong with the quality of the singing. Absolutely not. But I just didn't care for the song. I didn't think it was that interesting or that engaging. I didn't find it to be very entertaining at all. And as I said, I didn't hate it. I wasn't bored by it. But because it had such a great idea of having these monsters in a nightclub and Daffy being there, he could have interacted with them a lot more. The song could have been a bit creepier to kind of keep that atmosphere going. But I just think there are too many bits of this puzzle that didn't quite fit in place. The ones that did, such as the way the creatures were animated, really enjoyed. That worked very well. I like the fact that it's not just Daffy in a nightclub, it's the fact that it's a dream that was inspired by his reading a horror comic book before bed. I like the structure of that. But the song itself just did nothing for me. And once we got over kind of seeing these creatures, it just lost some of its appeal for me. I have just learned from the trivia on IMDb, this is the last Warner Brothers cartoon to feature the voice of Mel Blanc. There are ones that are a lot more contemporary that have archival sound of Mel Blanc's voice and Mel Blanc singing, but presumably this means the last one where he recorded vocals specifically for a new cartoon. And it's a shame that I don't love it, because if it's his final Warner Brothers cartoon and it's this, it's not that great. But obviously that doesn't spoil any of his abilities or anything. I just thought it sounded amazing and the execution was pretty dire. Not the worst thing I've ever seen, but by no means the best. The Night of the Living Duck is worth watching if you're a fan of Warner Brothers and a fan of Daffy Duck, but certainly I felt let down. It could have been better. Not the worst thing ever, but there was certainly room for improvement.